Warning, this podcast may contain adult content. We're brought to you today by Altered Reality Entertainment, the creators of Epic Comic Con. Check it out at epiccomiccon.com. Valo Doharis, and welcome to On the Case Game of Thrones, a weekly Game of Thrones recap show with Casey and Eli. Casey, did you like the episode?
I love the fucking episode. Is that even a question?
So here's something I just wanted to start off the top with. One, it was a quieter episode, but I think by the end of this run that this will be one of the most rewatchable episodes. So that doesn't mean best. That doesn't mean best content, best fights, none of that. It just, people are going to come back to this episode to rewatch it again and again just to hang out with their favorite people and spend more time with them.
Absolutely. It felt like that. It felt like the characters were doing that.
Well, actually, the thing that I'm thinking, I actually kind of feel like this is going to be the most divisive episode between like the general fandom and the hardcore fandom. And I feel like this episode will be like amongst the top 5 for a lot of the like bookheads or I don't want to say real Game of Thrones fans. I want to say like people who like live and breathe it in the way that like, they get like Deathly Hollow tattoos for Harry Potter. Like, I mean, but like, the people that are just here for the memes and just caught up this year that people, you know what I mean? I don't want to say like, casual fans. I just want to say like people that are just like, show me some boobs and swords. Like, like not the people that read the Silmarillion and like just the people who watch the Lord of the Rings movies. You know what I mean? Like that different.
That's funny because I literally tonight said that to someone in the same room as me. I said, people that think the show is all dragons and boobs, and there was a particular scene where I was like, this is the shit that I live for in this moment right now, and it was a smaller moment that just meant a lot because I cared about the people.
Yes. Okay. So let's lead with. I know my most important moment is wrong. I know that there are other ones that are actually like the most important moment of. Because we're going to do favorite moments and most important moments, but
yes,
the most important moment's probably going to be the Bran thing, like him actually saying the Night King stuff and what the Night King wants. Like, I get it. Like, that's the most impactful, the most important thing going forward, because now we know the Night King's motivation. But for me, what I'm going to say is the most important moment of this show was actually completing an arc. And it's Brienne getting knighted, because now, like, regardless of where her story ends up, it's come full circle. And the first time we see her on screen, she's trying to prove her worth and join the Kingsguard for Renly. And this is the first ending we've got for someone. So I actually think that everything else for Brienne's character on the battlefield is epilogue, because she has already reached her climax. Her story is over. Her story has ended, and her getting knighted by Jaime fucking Lannister was that's the end of her story for me. And so everything else after this is epilogue. And I honestly, I really feel like this episode was a beautiful ending for Brienne. Like her story, it's her story climaxed in my opinion.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I really liked the way they did that, and I thought it was interesting having probably the most honorable person who's like a knight being knighted by someone who in most regards across the 7 kingdoms is considered the least honorable knight like ever. Like if any of them got a real glance at Meryn Trant, there wouldn't even be a conversation. But for all intents and purposes, like the way people see it, Jaime's like super, Oathbreaker, and she literally carries Oathkeeper and is like the embodiment of loyalty. So it's kind of this funny full circle thing for both of them.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So I brought up the Bran thing. Do you think that that's the most impactful, most important moment of the episode? Or did you have a different one other than that?
So it's kind of a tie for me between that and Jon and Daenerys talking, because I think both of them have major implications. But one definitely has major implications, which is the Bran scene, because it gives us a game plan. It gives us like something that like, okay, now we understand what like their strategy is for destroying the Night King. And we also know that even Bran doesn't know how to destroy the Night King, which is huge, because people have been wondering that for years. Do you take the dragon glass out of him? Do you burn him? Does wildfire or dragon fire work better than regular fire? Because he walks right over that shit. Is it Valyrian steel? Like, what is it going to be? And now it's officially going into the battle. No one knows, which makes it better. But the other scene with him and Daenerys, it kind of went exactly how I thought it would go, which is shock. It's sort of like the 7 layers of grief or whatever. Like she's like denying it, and then she's like accepting it, and then she's angry about it. Like, wait, this fucks up my claim. And so I think that if they are going to go the route of Daenerys becoming the Mad Queen,
I
or
want,
maybe
I want to, yeah, I want to save that for for I think for the end. I want, because
sure.
that's
I think just
that's
either one
really,
of them could have major implications, so it's sort of a tie for which
yeah.
one's more important to me.
Okay, so then I'm going to switch to my favorite moment now, and it's got to be the late night drinking room with the motley crew of just a murderer's
That's
row of
so
actors
great.
in that room, just
That's cheating though.
killing it.
It's like 3 scenes because they break it up so perfectly.
I know, but yeah, I'm just saying my favorite moment is just everything that happens in that stupid room. And I had a crazy thought when that scene was happening.
Mhm.
I kind of thought, what if everyone in this room dies in
Wow.
in the next episode?
I
Like,
hope you're
I
wrong.
don't know. I hope I'm wrong too. But like, I was just like them panning around and them giving them that much time and that much interplay. I was just like, man, are these all the people that are going to die? And then I started laughing to myself, just like being like, wow, that would be
Yeah. And they all have such different roles to play in the next
yeah,
episode
yeah.
and beyond. That's amazing. Yeah, when you said that this was one of maybe the most rewatchable episodes, my mind immediately went to that area around the hearth with all of them talking, not just like, drinking, but joking and then having serious conversations and then having very important moments like the Brienne being knighted and then having like Podrick singing a song and just all these great little moments that like season 1 you wouldn't even know half of their names, and some like those show casual people don't even know half their names now, but they're still like, oh, beard guy was really funny drinking that milk. I'm like, yeah. No one like cares that like that stuff about him being Giantsbane is directly from his introduction in the book, which I loved as a book reader. Like it was so well placed, and it was just like this weird moment where like, is he going to tell the story about when he fucked a bear, or like what's he going to do? And he was also like super flexing on Jaime because of this weird Brienne love triangle that's happening.
Up the chair. Yeah. Oh yeah. And he gave Jaime the eyes, and he was like, "Oh, I know that she's the one you're thirsting after."
He's like, I heard you killed a king. Guess what I did, motherfucker? Watch me drink this whole horn of milk down my chest.
That's not like Bad First States like Twitter account, and just like, yeah, guy told me about how he suckled at the teat of a giant. Ooh, like that's his go-to. Like, let me impress this girl. I'm so strong because
weird.
I suckled giant's milk.
Yeah, like anything where Tormund fucks something that isn't human, that's like his brag forever story that he comes up with. He's like, bears, I killed the giant, then fucked his wife, and then I was.
You know what he's gonna do? Like whenever Brienne leaves him, or like clearly makes her feelings for Jaime felt in front of him, he's gonna like whatever, and he's just gonna go hump the Sapphire Isles and be like, yeah, well, you're from like, he's just gonna hump her homeland.
I wouldn't doubt it. He's like, I fucked the ocean.
All right, so what is a kraken? Yeah, and just go dunk on all the.
What if he just like takes Euron for his like salt wife, and he's like, yeah, I fucked the drowned god, and everyone's like, yeah, right, of course you did. It could be anything.
All right, so what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment is, okay, so this is exactly like the embodiment of what I was talking about, where this show does conversations in a way that no other show has ever done, where the smallest moments mean the most because you care about these characters because they're real. Like, this is a land of ice and fire and zombies and dragons, and these characters are more real than almost anything you'll ever watch in a movie or TV. And the moment that I love the most was Davos serving up the soup kitchen, and there's a guy who's like a total able-bodied dude surrounded by a few others, and they're like saying, hey, we're not warriors, like we don't want to fight. And they're like, well, you're warriors. He's like, you're warriors now, man up. Like, I can't fight for shit. I stood by Jon and I survived a few battles. If I can do it, you can do it. And he's gonna give him this pep talk, and he turns around, and all of a sudden those guys don't want to fight. Who wants to fight? This adorable little girl who just so happens to have a mark on one side of her face, and Davos turns around like he just seen a ghost, because in a way he has, and his connection with Shireen just echoes through this story in such beautiful ways. And that moment is so small and so meaningful, and she wants to fight, and he doesn't have the heart to tell her no, and he loves her spirit because it reminds her of Shireen. And then Gilly is there. Gilly, another character who's a super background character but has become like really important in a lot of great moments. And she says, I'm going to be down there with my son, and I sure would feel better, if you were down there to protect us, and gives this girl this noble like quest that is small and makes her feel large. And it's just one of those moments where like, that's a human moment. And like, everyone's staring death in the face, and they're all doing it very differently. And in that moment, Davos and Gilly were just at the top of their beautiful, like being beautiful people moments. I just loved it so much. Like, I just felt so good. Like, That's exactly like the perfect thing to say. And in this episode, I thought to myself several times, that when we were going into this last season, me and you had so many great theories, and there's so many across the internet and so many big fans, and there's no way they can all be right. But I just like, no matter what happens, like I hope that it's just as good as what I thought of. And this show so far has given me not just things that I wanted, but things I didn't even know I wanted, like moments like that. And it's really special.
Well, I think that, okay, so let's zoom out and let's examine it from, let's go elevation like 10,000 feet sure. on Drogon. We're flying above Winterfell kind of thing. But like as a tee up piece, as the setup, as the spike, or as the serve, or not the serve, what is it? The set to the spike that's coming next week. Like them giving us all of this time with the people that we care about right before they're probably going to murder half
I think at
them,
least
maybe
3
more, maybe you know what I mean? Like I would say maybe more, like just because, and you don't want to like say they telegraph too much, or just like the people that they gave, like as soon as like Missandei gives Grey Worm that like the kiss, like it's like as soon as they had that one scene, I was like,
what mattered to me more than the kiss?
And then as soon as Sam
wasn't the
hands
kiss,
Jorah,
it was that if you watch it again, there's this beautiful directing choice where they're setting up all these like spikes everywhere in defense. They plant one right between her and him as he's done kissing her, walking away, and I was like, that's a visual separation. No. That's a directing option. That's a choice. That was a choice.
Yeah. No. So like basically like every time they just had a different person talking or doing something, like them showing Pod being good at fighting, or them being like Sam gave Jorah the sword of death. And in fact, I want to switch to my next thing, which is, did you cry? And I definitely cried during the Brienne scene. I cried real hard. I cried so hard during that Brienne getting knighted scene. That was incredible. And then I cried when Sam gave Jorah the sword. Like I was undone. I was like, oh no. Like that seemed like the sword of death.
I don't know, because he said that he's going to use it in his father's memory, which I think might give him a pass through this one. But Jorah's had a lot of close calls. The thing is, like, when someone has a lot of close calls, it's like, either it's setting them up for a glorious end, or it's all circumstance and they're going to die anyway, just however. But I don't know. I think there might be something bigger. But yeah, I definitely teared up during the scene I mentioned earlier with Davos and them, because that was just such a sweet moment with that girl, and bringing up Shireen in like this really sweet unspoken way just like kind of got me triggered, because I just saw Davos's like dadness like take over him, and then Gilly came in as like this sweet mother. Like, we don't see Gilly be a mother that much. Like, the kid's with her, but like she had just had the kid most of the time. We don't see her like be motherly, and she was so sweet.
Oh no! Them setting up that little girl and like Gilly, those two are both dead. Dead, super duper dead.
There's only I honestly I know that there's a lot of death coming, but I think the telegraphs might be either like red herrings, or maybe they're so subtle we didn't notice them until afterwards, and it'll be so obvious to us later.
Well, yeah. Well, and so here's the other thing that like I don't know if I can't get it out of my head, but like Game of Thrones has always been the one show that has shown the realness of battle. So like the chaos, the nonsense of it. In very, very few times the ugly. Yeah. So like Battle of the Bastards, very ugly. That's Blackwater. Like all of these battles were like not pretty, and like the way
actually,
that like
Lord
of the Rings looks.
After Lord of the Rings.
Like my thing is like
Tolkien was famous for wanting to show the horrors of war after experiencing World War One.
No, I was gonna say the movies still make it too pretty, but that was a different time of movie making, like because like Legolas is like writing down elephant trunks and shooting people. Like what I'm saying is like, I don't think we're gonna get a bunch of hero moments for the people's deaths. Is what I'm saying. So like it might be like like someone we care about, like Jorah, or like someone like I'm just using Jorah as an example, but like he might just get cut down in just a quick cutaway. And I don't think we're gonna get heroes' deaths for these people, because like the one time they let themselves indulge in some like movie bullshit was when like Ygritte dies and Jon holds her in the middle of the battlefield and there's like arrows flying behind him. Like that's like the only time they've ever done something like that.
Well, so I would say there's a few other moments, like kind of like when Leaf holds that grenade and lets them get out and hold the door, but like it's still not pretty. It's like Summer tries to go out. And they're like,
I mean, like on
it's just nasty. Like they're still getting gutted and stabbed, and you feel it. Like it's visceral. It's very, you feel it. So I don't think there'll be like a Legolas sliding down the stairs on a shield, surfboarding while shooting 10 arrows type of moments. But that's not what we're watching. We're watching a grown up version, basically, of that shit.
So okay, so I'm gonna switch to our scene by scene now. So we're gonna go from the beginning of the episode to the end, saying the scenes. You stop me if there's anything we need to talk more about. First thing, intro changed again, and you kind of, I think you predicted this last week that the ice was going to keep creeping, and it did that. But the thing I didn't think was going to happen is the Winterfell has now the pikes and the tents outside of it because Daenerys' army has arrived, which is really cool. We get the trial of Jaime to open up the episode, and Tyrion just really we kept talking about him racking up the losses, but another one when Daenerys challenges him there in the room,
just like you trusted your sister,
trying to protect his brother. And I really need Tyrion to do something this season. Like I really do, because he's just really just like, I don't know, like maybe it's from an acting standpoint, or he's just not a central fighting character. So maybe he's gonna have a really good back end of the season. But so far he's just been consistently.
They touch on the fact that
that
Jaime left because he wanted to fulfill his oath or whatever. But the one thing that irritated me was he left Cersei and now he has no one, and they don't really talk about the fact that like even Tyrion doesn't say like, oh, so you like straight up left Cersei, like you're done with Cersei, right?
Yeah, you're
not in love with her.
Oh, yeah, like you've committed treason. Yeah.
So they don't, and I was kind of frustrated by that. But like also, with her, what we had talked about the potential of Tyrion having some sort of like backhanded deal with her, and they kind of just snuffed that out because he goes, oh, well, I just thought she said the baby changed her, and like, was she even lying about the baby? And Jaime says no, but there's no fucking proof. Like, she wasn't showing or anything. So, and she's drinking wine in the episode we just watched. So I'm thinking like that maybe she did lie to both of them, and the baby isn't real. Yeah,
and Jaime doesn't even know. Yeah, no, I can feel that. So then, of course, Brienne stands up for Jaime, tells the story of, and kind of sways Sansa to her side. And then Jon also lets Jaime stay, and he gives Daenerys the cold shoulder.
Dude, how tense was it when Bran said the things we do for love? I thought he was going to call him out right there in front of everyone, and then he took the high road. Like, Bran's showing some emotional depth this season. I love it.
Bran's, really good. Yeah. And then we get more of that Mad Queen stuff you alluded to with Tyrion and Daenerys in the hallway, and her kind of threatening.
Dude, there's some
Tyrion
major foreshadowing there, because he said someone else is going to be holding this, like wearing this pin by when it's all over. I don't think Tyrion is long for this world, man.
Yep.
I would not have said that a season ago.
Yeah, you remember in our prediction episode, I said if of the big three of Jon, Tyrion, and Daenerys, who was going to die.
It's scary because I would have never thought he would be this unsafe. But you know what? The other side of this thing, this coin that we haven't really looked at, is maybe Tyrion's getting set up with all these losses so he can have a humongous win and a happy ending.
Hopefully,
because everyone loves
Tyrion. That's what we need to hope. That's what we need to hope. Oh yeah, of course. Gendry and Arya get their first flirt on. She does some dagger foreplay by throwing some.
That was so funny.
She can nail the target there.
I loved it.
That was some good stuff. Then we get Bran and Jaime interacting in the forest. Jaime asking, Bran why he didn't say anything. He's like, well,
yeah. See, that stood out to me too, because he's just one guy. He's one guy with one arm who's barely as good of a fighter as like Podrick. Okay, at this point, and Bran said that the reason he didn't say anything is because basically they need his help. Why do they need his help? There's something big coming from Jaime. It has to be either he's gonna turn the tide in some way, or he's gonna save someone important, or maybe he's Azor Ahai. I don't know, but something major is happening with him, and only Bran knows. And it's really interesting how they set that up.
Yeah. If Jaime's Azor Ahai, that'd be incredible. That'd blow my mind. Okay, so we get, speaking of Jaime, we get him and Tyrion linking up, kind of walking through Winterfell, talking to each other for the first time since the trial. They talk on the wall as well. And then Tyrion saying some really good lines, just like delivering like top tier Tyrion stuff. And then Jaime just kind of trails off and sees Brienne and then just dips out. And then this is one of my other favorite moments when like she's just like, hey, like we haven't talked, we haven't talked for more than 5 minutes without you insulting me. And he's like, yo, I'd love to be under your command. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man, that just killed me. Like, as much as I like the Tyrion line where he's like, at least Cersei won't get to kill me, like, that's like a comedic high.
There's
and then, like,
two things there that stood out to me as well. Is one, we know Jaime wants to die in the arms of the woman he loves. Now, he says that thinking it's Cersei. I've always thought it would be Brienne. Now we know he will be fighting alongside her in the battlefield, so the chances of that have just gone up exponentially. The other thing that's funny is the only way that story isn't perfectly tied up in with a bow is that I want him to be the Valonqar that kills Cersei. But in the same scene you're talking about with him saying, well, at least I didn't die, I won't let her have the satisfaction of killing me. He also says maybe if I get killed by the dead, I'll be an undead and I'll go rip her apart myself. So, like, I don't think that they're going to just literally put the nail on the head like that. But maybe it's foreshadowing that if Jaime does die in the arms of the woman he loves, which we know has to be Brienne at this point, that there still is a Valonqar, and maybe it is exactly the one she was always fearful of. Maybe it will be Tyrion. That could be crazy.
Tyrion.
So that changes things.
No, I'm into it. Okay. So another thing from that scene is just like Podrick is a good fighter, which is like incredible. Like he was like dicing that dude up in the yard like Jon did to all the dudes
that's exactly what reminded me of.
First. Yeah, and I was just like so hyped. Like Pod being a good fighter like makes me excited.
Well,
like,
and Jaime was super proud too because he gave him to her like super raw. Like had never really like fought like very much at all or been a proper squire. He more was a cupbearer for Tyrion, and to see how far he's come, he knows that's only because of how fantastic Brienne is, and she could still be like, she's still kind of like a bitch, but also like kind of like not smug. She's like, yeah, he's all right, like not giving herself credit or him credit at the same time.
Yeah. The next scene is Dany speaking with Jorah, and Jorah defends Tyrion, and I think kind of stays his execution, or you know what I mean, because she says the crypt thing later on in the episode, but it's very surprising move from Jorah, and I think that set up the we're gonna lose Jorah for me. That was the telegraph on that one, that like they wanted to establish once more that Daenerys loves Jorah, so she's probably gonna have to watch him. That's just what I got from that scene, that he's kind of fulfilled his role. He said, hey, I trust Tyrion, and then so like now
maybe he's like
used
okay
up everything
now, like he was initially heartbroken on the Tyrion thing.
Yeah, and if it wasn't that, like, and we'll get to this one later, but like, so like if you like look at the things that Jorah needed to do, we saw an interaction with him and Lyanna, we saw an interaction with him and Daenerys, like, and like, I don't know, that just felt like,
and he gets heart
okay, he did everything on his bucket list, so now he can go get
the thing because of his father. So he gets closure in 3 sections of his life, the main 3. So
I never, it's not that I think that Emilia Clarke or Daenerys is like she's a bad actress, but like I really dug the next scene, which was her and Sansa together, because Jorah counsels her to go med the fence with Sansa, and man, like her eyes were so intense when she was speaking to Sansa, and like it was like I don't know, the way the camera, the lighting, it was like beautiful, and then she's like, I really believed that she loved him, and I was like,
and
wow,
that she wanted to be like sisters with Sansa. Okay, like I got all of it, and I expected that scene to go the opposite way, where it would start really tense and really like they'd have to fight a little bit, and then they would like someone would say something that warmed them each up to each other. But instead, they gave us the exact opposite. It was this beautiful sisterly warming up, and then all of a sudden, Sansa's like, "Haha, I'm not season 2 Sansa anymore. What have you done for me lately? Yeah. Where's my North gonna be when we're done fighting your fucking war for you, bitch?" Like I was like, "Oh shit." Like, and she pulls the hand off, and I was like, "Ooh, that's how I felt."
It was like one of those it was like one of those like delicate dances that like is like people are doing like all these death-defying tricks, and you're just like, oh gosh, you don't want them to like fall and slip, but then
didn't
like,
you feel like it was
like, oh my gosh, crash
they were good like at a certain point, and then it got bad again, and you're like, fuck, like.
Yeah, and she just drops the mic, and she's like,
I keep thinking of Bran, like, we don't have time for this. The Night King has a dragon there. He's coming right now.
Okay, yeah, and then we get a little bit more Mad Queen type stuff in her eyes or in her face, And then Theon arrives, and that's what interrupts them. And it's the first time I've cried about Theon, and it was because you know me, I hate Theon, but it wasn't like about Theon. It was about Sansa's like response to him being there, kind of thing. Like the you know the full thing coming, everything coming full circle. But like if him and Sansa get like romantic, because like she gave him eyes during the War Council, and then like the way she hugged him, like if that's where we're going with this, I'm gonna ride.
See, I thought that it was just like the last time they saw each other was when they were almost just about to be dead. And then, but then later on in the episode, there's like a voiceover, and they're having like soup together, and they're together, and it does kind of feel almost like a shipping sort of moment, where like they're like saying like, "Hey, this kind of makes sense, right?"
It does,
and because like not to jump ahead, but your Gendry
I'm gonna riot.
and Sansa theory is out the fucking window at this point.
Yeah. Oh no, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Yeah, no more. It's gone. All the way gone. I bet you were clapping inside.
I don't want you to be wrong, but I did want me to be right, and I was right.
Then we cut to Soup Man and talking to Davos, and then we get this little girl that is clearly a Shireen allegory, and Davos is probably going to protect her and save her from whites to kind of like, you know, come full circle.
I think she'll be in the crypts. But I just the thing, like I said it before, so I won't go like super deep. But like I just loved the fact that scene starts with some able-bodied young men, youngish men that were not trying to fight, and then this little girl who wants to fight, and it's the perfect. Yeah, it's this humanity, you know,
juxtaposition. Yeah. And then, like, this is the first time they reestablish Gilly, and then, like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Gilly die. Like, it's just gonna happen. Like that's all that scene told me. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get to watch this little girl and Gilly die.
I don't think that would happen unless like Gilly like threw herself on like the White Walker grenade so that little girl could carry little Sam out of there or something.
Yeah. All right, so we get to the Night's Watch and Tormund arriving. The War Council happens, and then we get Bran saying what the Night King wants. So it's really cool that we finally know the Night King wants Bran, because Bran, or the Three-Eyed Raven, whoever the Three-Eyed Raven is essentially the encyclopedia of Westeros, and he wants to snuff that out so that humanity can't.
We step back to the Stone Age.
So he wants to not only wipe out history of
humanity, I love that War Council, dude. Like, there's everyone in there.
The
like.
Why is Jaime not in there? That's the question I have. I guess he's still not trusted.
But all the Starks are in there.
That was the one person I was like,
you know, I like that there's a perfect balance of women and men in there, almost a perfect balance. But it was fantastic, and I love that they're laying out certain parts of the plan. I think personally there are going to be some major surprises. Like when we watched The Watchers on the Wall, like no one knew the Scythe was happening, but the Scythe came and it was like awesome. I think we're going to have several Scythe type moments, but they laid out some interesting parts.
Oh yeah. I studied that map. Oh, I freeze framed, dude. I freeze framed as soon as I saw the map, and I looked at all the sigils on all the things, and like. So there was a lion inside the gates. So that was like Jaime commanding a group of soldiers inside the castle, it looked like. And then there was the Vale of Arryn people on the left with a Stark reinforcement behind them. But then like the symbols were different too. So like it seemed like the Dothraki were the pointed triangles, and then behind that was the Unsullied, because they were in because it had the Targaryen pieces in front of it, so they're the main force in front of the castle. There's a Stark force on the left and right, but then a Vale of Arryn, and like it was cool because like the tiles were like bigger and thicker when it was like soldiers, and then like smaller and like more rectangular and like taller when it was the horse, because the Vale of Arryn people have all the horses and stuff. So
I was just
like, it was just really cool.
I was just thinking about that, like the Knights of the Vale are famous for being cavalry, like mounted cavalry, but so are the so is the Khalasar. So if you have the Dothraki on one side and the Knights of the Vale on the other side, and they flank in with freaking horses fighting in totally different styles, that's gonna be amazing.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this. Like I'm not, and then like okay, so I know we'll talk about the next week on, but like.
Yeah,
Brienne
so
just
brave.
Screaming, "Hold your ground!" Like that was the I got out of my seat.
I was like, dude, just paint half of her face blue, because that's fucking Braveheart for me. But yeah, I just want to say about the battle plans.
Okay,
They're doing what I wanted them to do, which is make an entire trench that they were going to light on fire. They mentioned at one point, like, once they get this far, you light the trench. Like, Davos will send the signal to light the trench, which is hilarious because Davos was on the other side of the last time someone shot an arrow and ignited something. I wanted them to have a wildfire trench, but obviously they don't have wildfire. So I think fire still be really good against whites. But that's really interesting.
So exactly speaking to what you said there, yeah. So Daenerys says, "Hey Tyrion, don't be on the battlements. Go to the crypts. Like that's where you need to go." So I think we might get Tyrion in the Cersei role where it cuts to him in between the battle, like him talking to people. Well, not wine drunk, saying they're in for a bit of a something, but you know what I mean. Jon gives Daenerys the cold shoulder when he leaves that room as well. When they leave the War Council. And we get Bran and Tyrion's first interaction, and we don't know exactly how much Bran tells him of his life story, but Tyrion delivers again some killer lines about how they have nothing else to do.
I wanted that scene to go on because I was so mad we didn't get to hear really anything. I was like, please, this is the most interesting thing ever.
Maybe that's a deleted scene on like
or maybe to pay dividends later. I don't know,
DVD or something like that. Okay. And then hilariously, the North is racist. Missandei just comes out, and those little girls just dip out. I know they haven't seen someone of that color who looks.
It was
like
just
that,
like the first episode where like they're just like,
that was crazy.
The fuck are these people? What kind of hair is that? And I was just like, this is not good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of memes or jokes about that already so far that are pretty funny to me. I really like the Night's Watch guys all reuniting on the
Sam being brave
there, like Ed coming up and
talking about
just being Ed, Sam, and
missing him,
and then Sam being like,
about that.
That was going to be my scene of the episode.
There's some like, obvious choices in there.
The freaking.
But like, can we just talk about like how it was kind of weird? Grey Worm's always been like duty. First, second, and third is duty. Like everything, like it was way below that. And he's like, this place sucks. Like, you should go someplace A, warm, and B, less racist. Like as soon as we can. And like, I was just like, damn, dude, I've never heard Grey Worm act like he wanted to like dip out. Like Grey Worm's like, look, it's slow. Let's go take an extra break today. Like he's like the cool guy in the break room right now. Like let's get out of here.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. It's 2019, and none of us should be accepting that anymore.
But the other thing is,
with you.
He's making future plans for a good future, and every time someone does that in this show, I just think of Ned Stark telling Jon Snow, next time we see each other, I'll tell you about your mother. If they say something like that, watch the whole show again.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone says that,
he's done.
It's not
so
going to happen. It's fucking totally donezo.
Dunzo.
Also, can we talk about Bran being bait?
Overtown. Get used to him.
Like, because in the War Council, Bran speaks up, and I love that. Like, everyone just believes Bran now. Like, there's no like, should we believe him? Because there's too much of that with like, should we trust a Targaryen? Should we trust black people? Like, there's too much of that bullshit going on in the North right now. Like we are about to die. We're about to face the devil itself. Like, you need to shut the fuck up and just like fight with anyone next to you. I don't care if he's black, brown, purple, whatever. Like, and in that moment, like I was just like, damn, these people just like immediately trust Bran now.
I kind of feel like Bran's level of creepiness is just like lending to his like credibility. Like, this guy wouldn't go this far with this bit unless it was real. Like that's
like why would he make all this up? It's getting it's too specific of a joke to be a joke.
Yeah, and then so this is like pretty far into the episode when we first get the first Jaime Tyrion by the fire thing, and so I know we've been talking about it kind of the whole time because it's kind of like the crux of the episode, and then slowly more people trickle in. You get Brienne and Pod, and then
Davos
they're like, hey, have some wine with us, and then Brienne, and then Brienne's
when it was the four of them, I was like, I want to be there, and then Davos walked in and put his ass against the fire, and I was like, I really want to be there. That's like my favorite place ever. And then Tormund's drinking the milk and the horn, and oh my. Yeah,
tell him
how I got my name. I'm like, you crazy incredible ginger motherfucker.
Yeah, and then we're gonna keep saying this, I imagine. But then like another scene that I was just really invested in was Arya and the Hound on the wall talking to each other, and then and it's so cool how like you're just like, oh man, I could just have just this, and then they throw in that extra garnish, like Beric rolls up, and you're like, oh, this mofo.
I was laughing my ass off.
Just them reestablishing
through everything. It was so great.
Yeah, like what a tee up episode. Yeah, and then her just being like, "I'm not going to spend the rest of my night."
Well,
with
it's like anyone who's ever had a horrible day
crap.
knows that like
and
sometimes
then
you just have to laugh at it. And I felt like that's what this episode was like we're staring imminent death in the face, and we could either be like sullen about it, or we could just be like, let's celebrate what makes us different than those dead fuckers walking across to come kill us. And like that's what this was. It was like a celebration of humanity. Davos's scene, the whole like hearth scene, everything, every little interaction was just like it was people being 100% themselves, because why hold back now? You might be dead by morning. It's miracle. It's a miracle like of story writing.
All right. So okay. So of course the next thing is the thing that the internet's gonna grab and take. But finally, the Starks and the Baratheons, they joined their lower houses.
You know what I like is
she
was gonna jump his bones before he said that whole shit about Baratheon. But because like she could have gone to the forge to get her weapon, but she did not. And but when she found that out, I was like, oh my god, like she just got extra ready for some Baratheon D right now. Like, ooh, girl,
that was crazy. I was starting to feel awkward, like when she was starting to disrobe. I was like, don't show anything.
I didn't want to see like side boob even. I felt like that's like my little sister.
Like, no, I put my hand like over the bottom of the screen just so I could only see her face or like her head.
That kind of makes it worse.
I seriously did that, dude. I put up my hand because I like
it was. What they showed her scars and stuff.
What they did was tasteful,
like,
but I was
and
just
he
like,
saw them and he didn't say anything like about
them.
Like he was just like, cool, you know.
I do like her like pillow talk. Like, I'm not the Red Woman.
Yeah, and I like that she wasn't intimidated by the fact that he'd been with someone else. Because like for a minute I thought maybe he would say he wasn't with anyone else. But like I was like, I particularly remember you sliding inside the Red Woman for a few minutes at least. Because like he made some faces and she made some faces like there was some full penno, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Wow. What a word you just used there. Well, we get back to the drinking group, and then they start talking about how almost everyone there has fought the Starks, and then Tyrion starts rattling off everyone's accomplishments, from Davos surviving X, Y, and Z to Jaime doing whatever, and then Jaime kind of
lost
awesomely
the Whispering Wood,
famous loser of the Whisper. Yeah, like that scene is just so charged with like.
It's almost like a before the episode recap too. Yeah. It's really like, just in case you forgot, every one of these motherfuckers used to fight the Starks in some way or another. Like that's brilliant, and they're all in Winterfell about to you know like avenge it.
Yeah, and we didn't really bring it up, but Tyrion talks about how it'd be fun. Like he wished his dad was there so he could see the two Lannister boys defending. Like how funny! Like
also, it's
like,
really weird.
So
this is, I think, maybe then, one of the only episode I can think of besides this one is Watchers on the Wall. But I think this is like one of the only episodes where it's in one place the whole time. Because Battle of the Bastards is almost that way, but it starts with that great sequence with Daenerys coming back to Meereen and killing the slavers with the dragons. So it's like, but this one we didn't get one glimpse of Euron or Cersei or anything south of the Neck. Like it's all Winterfell. Literally, I don't think we left the walls of Winterfell.
Do you know what this episode was called?
Say it.
Because like on my HBO Go or HBO
they're
now,
trying so hard to protect it. And I'm like, that's cool, but like once the episode airs, you should tell it. I watched the whole episode, and when I backed out, it still said 6.9. I'm looking on IMDb right now, but I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, okay. Because someone, I heard I think someone had said a while ago that it was supposed to be called The Rightful Heir or something like that.
That would give it away a little bit.
But I don't know if that's, yeah, exactly. Okay, so next thing is Brienne gets knighted, and it was really cool the words that he said each time he changed from shoulder to shoulder, like the warrior did. Yeah, like that was just like one of those like just. For me, I was just like, oh, this world's so lived in, and that's right. There's so much history and things, and like, you know, the words that the Night's Watch say, like just like things like that in the world. Like when,
oh my god, this is perfect. I just googled it, or I looked up on IMDb. It's the episode is called "A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms." Since we're talking about it, I had to interrupt. Sorry, it's called that. Beautiful, perfect. That was a beautiful moment and so earned. That's the thing is, this show earns all those moments.
Yeah, and that is the Brienne. Oh man, now that definitely makes me think she's gonna die. They named a whole episode.
When they give people that much of a
Casey,
role,
what have you done?
And that much of a role that like because Robb Stark became the King of the North way too quick, right? Jon Snow didn't. Robb Stark found love really quick. Jon Snow didn't. Like, all these things, if it's too convenient, if Renly's the perfect king and he's about to be king and he's got the numbers and everything's too convenient, Shadow Baby, stabbed through the heart, Red Wedding, like, they take those characters out from under you when you think that it's just, whenever you look back, you're like, oh yeah, it was a little too easy for them. Jon Snow, it has not been too easy, and Brienne has not been too easy.
So what? Okay. So what you're saying is the Battle of Winterfell is going to be Brienne's Pike moment, where like Jaime became a famous knight because he was just cutting
and
through
to an
people.
extent, Jorah, all of them, yeah.
No, but that's like the battle where he becomes famous. Or no, isn't there that thing in the woods?
It's not
too,
with
that
Beric.
he does
It's
with
Sir
Beric,
Arthur
and that's
Dayne,
why
I
he gets
believe.
knighted.
They go after the
it's
Brotherhood, Godswood brother or Kingswood Brotherhood, something like that. Yeah, and he fights the Laughing Knight or something like that.
Yeah. So
or not? No, that's
the Laughing Knight's
Knight of the Laughing Tree. Something.
Leon Stark.
Yeah. There's a lot of names.
Yeah. We're getting all mixed up. Well, let's move on. Speaking of Lyanna, she comes off the top rope and just lays it
I like that
Jorah.
he doesn't try to impose anything. He's just talking to her because he respects her. And he wasn't even saying, like, you shouldn't be out there fighting because you're a girl or because you're a child. I think he goes out there and he's just saying, you are the face of our house. Which is really humble and beautiful of him to do, to have that standpoint. And if you think about it, when I was watching that scene, I just kept thinking, no matter where Jorah goes, he's like just always like sort of like indebted to this, like to some woman. You know, like his story starts in a sense with a woman ruining his life because he gets this beautiful moment where he fights in Pike, he defeats Jaime Lannister and wins the tournament. He gets this beautiful wife, and then to try and keep her, he sells people into slavery, which ruins his life. Then he falls in love with Daenerys, and that kind of changes his life. And now, he's sort of like he's an underling to someone who's like his niece, sort of like. It's so weird, or his cousin, I think they said in the show. But yeah, he's always under some woman in some sort of way. Like that's like his legacy is that he loves women, and he's always sort of subservient to them in a weird way.
Well, and that kind of leads into the next thing with him getting the sword from Sam.
I love that scene, and I kind of called it. I think maybe we both called it, but like there's just only one knight there who doesn't already have Valyrian steel that Sam has a connection to. And Sam's not going to wield it because A, it's humongous, and B, he's not a fighter. He would rather,
put it.
And I thought that was beautiful how they tied it together to Joer, and that like he taught me how to be a man, and it only makes sense. And he didn't give it to him like use it in the battle, and then I'm putting it back on the fucking wall when I get back to my house because now it's my house. He was like, it's yours. It's like 100% yours. Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool. There was
no givesies backsies.
But yeah, like and now I can't not see. Now I can't not see a moment where like Jorah falls on the battlefield and Sam has to go pick up the sword and use it. Like I think Jorah, yeah. My money's on, like, if I had to put like a Stone Cold Lock of the Century on someone who's gonna die, I'd put it on Jorah.
It could happen. I'd be really sad if it happened.
If
he dies because of Viserion, sure. I'm gonna feel so sad for him because like he's like it's hard to be a cynic when you've heard baby dragons sing, like all those moments he had where he became a true believer, and if that's the thing that is his end, holy shit, some fucked up poetry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Tormund's done too, man. Beric, Tormund.
Yeah, I was thinking about Beric a lot earlier because
sure.
he's been brought back so many times. Like he has to have some sort of big moment. What do you think the odds are? I want to do a burrito bet. We haven't done one in a while. Burrito bet on him giving the kiss of life to somebody. Do you think he will, or do you think he won't? I think it's kind of dope. And it's a really nice book nod. And after the whole Tormund Giantsbane speech, I feel like they are giving us some nice book nods in this fucking last season. So I think it's possible. And I was thinking about that it'd be really cool if he gave it to someone like Jon or Arya. But like, who'd be even cooler is the Hound. to be brought back by the power of fire. Can you fucking imagine like the poetic symmetry there with the Hound? That was just and they have this connection. I don't know.
I could dig it. I could dig it. I could. No,
I think you'd be
no,
into it.
You're right.
If it happened, you'd be jumping out of your chair.
I'm into it. I'm into it. Okay. So speaking of things that I'm way into, this is gonna sound weird, but I think I'd be actually sadder if Pod died over Brienne. That's just my feelings right now, because that man, not only can he lay pipe, but he has pipes.
I mean, he's no
he's got a glorious singing voice. No, it was great. No, get out of here. He's no bro.
I know. I love Pod, but like,
he's no Mary. He's
easy
no Mary.
to really like love a character when they haven't really had to do anything that hard. Like, but Brienne's really like had to fight. I mean, tooth and nail, and like Pod's had an interesting backseat in a lot of narratives with Tyrion and Brienne and stuff like that. But I mean, Pod's not someone that like if he died, I'd be like, what is the realm going to be? Or like his legacy was so immense, you know, or like, you know, he had such a great trajectory.
Look, Case, I'm just saying me personally.
Well, you know what?
Kill Pod, I'll be more mad than if they kill Brienne.
Little side note, I won our citywide Game of Thrones trivia basically single-handedly with a little bit yesterday, but I just want you to know, Elijah, personally, that my team name was Ice Spiders as big as hounds, and so that's the only thing that I'll be upset about if it doesn't show up in the show at this point. Yeah, I kind of
get ready to
but
be
you know, it's a small price to pay, because guess who showed up in this episode for a mini second in like the fifth of the screen that it was in and barely moved? It was Ghost.
I want you to know, I was gonna end the episode with that, because I was so mad that not only did they not say his name,
there's no reunion. You just assume that John's been around him.
You know, this is what I'm thinking. Case. I factually think that. I know this is insane to think, but they were just like, guys, can we just throw him in the background of a scene, because they were so mad week one when we didn't have him. Is there anything we could do?
Because you know how like he's just standing still, but when Ed comes up and joins John and Sam, like if you notice, Ghost kind of looks down and then looks back up and stays still again, and I'm like, I bet that one little head nod cost $500,000. Like, why are they so expensive? These stupid wolves. Like, it looks so superimposed too. It's like I'll believe the dragon is literally there next to John more than Ghost half the time, because they move so weird and shit. Like, how hard is it? Like, just get a dog and make it like 30% bigger, 50% bigger, whatever. It can't be that hard. I guess
do the Hagrid thing,
like just use foreground like they did in Lord of the Rings to make like Elijah Wood look like he's 3 feet tall. I don't know.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, now we got to move to the next thing that was actually like of note. No, okay. So the Podrick song was great, cutting between people. Arya having the after.
I like that they also gave us the scene where she was practicing her archery, because for Arya being such a badass, like skilled warrior that's never been in a battle, I would hate it if she just had sex. Like if she didn't like get some practice in, like, because you know her mind might want to like live like it's the last night possibly, but she also like was asking Gendry like, what are they like she wants to be ready as fuck for this battle, and she wants to show everyone her crazy skill set, and so I really like that little part. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah there's gonna be a moment where she blows everyone away with her skills. It's so exciting, man. It really is. Okay, so let's get to the moment. It's John telling Dany.
It's so crazy.
Wasn't it? I kind of feel like it was the scene played out in a weird way. Like, not that I'm mad with the result, but like he was just like really just like super detached from it, and maybe that's because he's been like.
Well, I don't think he was going to tell her, and then when he finds out that they only have till sunrise, basically. It's now or never.
He's just like, I have to tell it. Because, like, for me, like, I even wrote down the notes, just like, man, what a bad time to say this. Like,
it is.
I would have held off.
Yeah, like I kind of mentioned, like, the whole, like, Davos keeping the Shireen thing to himself right before Battle of the Bastards. But, like, that was, like, maybe imminent death, and maybe it would matter, and maybe it wouldn't matter, because it's just this girl that died. Like, it's sad, but it's not, like, the king of the Seven Kingdoms rightfully should have been crowned. Like, this is a bigger deal, like, for the realm.
It's like Jon has the zeroist
that's
chill,
him
you know what I'm
being
saying?
Ned Stark's
Like,
son, if all but name and you know, kind of blood. But like I don't know, I think the way he said it was interesting because it's like almost like he didn't want to say it, and then she brought up the Rhaegar thing with like that she felt remorseful about his aunt, and then he's like, yeah, about that. And then he starts telling her this beautiful story, and she can't believe it, and it's an amazing story. I mean, it really is. Like the fact that like because she wanted to believe Rhaegar was a good guy. All the evidence is that he's an amazing guy, and he proves her right.
I think the whole time that he's saying, every time he says another thing, I think she starts to think that it's him. Like just the way that he's
I don't
think
it.
she.
I don't think she.
Pretty early
her acting, because I was watching her eyes the whole time. I feel like she doesn't figure out it's him until he says, and then she the last thing she did while she was bleeding to death in her bed was, you know, leave that kid with Ned Stark. And as soon as he says Ned Stark, she reacts and he says to raise in secret to protect from Robert Baratheon as his bastard. And as soon as the word bastard comes across his lips, she's just like, that's when she like turns away from him, I think. If I'm remembering correctly, that's like she's just like can't handle it, like it's too much. And then she's like, she kind of handled it the way I thought she would. You know, she's like, wow, this is crazy. It can't be true.
No, I really liked what she said when she's like, yeah, oh, how convenient. Your best friend and your brother are the ones telling you. Like that was a cool, like that's one of those like the world is real and the people have real reactions. Like she's like, oh, isn't this a little too convenient?
It's
like,
cool
that
because it's real, but it's also not cool if you're a Daenerys fan, because I think that it's just more evidence pointing to the fact that Daenerys is not going to be sitting the Iron Throne fucking ever. Her vision,
she's not going to be.
Her vision of that throne and what's on the throne,
queen.
And she almost touches it, but she can't. Snow is all over the throne. I think it's obvious. Yeah.
Oh, dude! Like even the words she says, man, it was crazy when she was just like,
you have a claim to the throne, and she didn't say a better claim than me to the throne, but that's what she was
she
really
started getting more,
and that's why she seemed kind of pissed off. And like to him, when she said that, it's almost like he hadn't even thought of that. You know, he was just worried about how it was going to make her feel and how it was going to make the people in the North feel and how it makes him fucking feel. But like when she says like, how do you know it's true? Like he doesn't say like, oh, they showed me the scroll, or oh, Bran proved it by telling me other things from visions. He just like knew it in his heart. And I really liked that. He was just like, I just know it's true. Like he always knew he was destined for some greatness, and like now he's getting evidence of it, and a part of him just knows it's true. That's brilliant. I love it. And I knew that as soon as that happened, they'd have no fucking time. Because I was like, I feel like about 56 minutes have gone by. Like right when they were saying this. And I was like, the Night King's horses are about to show up in like 10 seconds, motherfucker. And you're like on the verge of a breakup talk. Like, this is bad.
All right, so then that brings us to the last scene of the episode where we get the hoof, just like we kind of speculated that the episode 2 would end with the hoof, and then we see a metric F ton of White Walkers, so not the whites, but dudes on horses who have been turned by the Night King and who can command the whites themselves. You would imagine that since the Night King's on site, that the whites aren't going to fall when White Walkers fall. Because there was that one isolated group that they found, and when they killed the White Walker, all the other whites disappeared. But I think because Night King's there or maybe not on site, he might be going to King's Landing, but that they're not going to fall. But yeah, it was interesting that they didn't say target the White Walkers.
That's what my theory was. Like, yeah, that'd be such a smart way to do it. Just draw like a line in the sand and go for the generals first, because every general you kill, and like honestly, like they don't have shields. Like they could just literally launch barrage after barrage of dragonglass arrows at the White Walker generals.
Oh, but you forgot, in Tatooine when they have like those bubble shields things. You know what I'm talking about? Those bubble force fields. See, the Night King's army has that because the ice spiders that are as big as hounds.
Oh my god, that's so funny that you say that, because A, fuck you for bringing up the Phantom Menace, and B, fuck you for making fun of ice spiders as big as hounds. Because I thought of a really amazing scene. Like, what if for some way they like walked into a White Walker trap at some point, and they walk into it's a spider web, but like all the spider
Boom.
webs are like solid ice crystals, and then you just hear like the tapping of the feet, like like, oh my god, that'd be the most amazing way. It'd be like Shelob's Lair.
You're terrible.
Anyway, whatever.
You're terrible. Okay, we're moving on. All right. Last few things here before we get out of here for the day. Emmy goes to who for you?
I think Daenerys. Between her scene, I know, but like between her scene with Sansa odds, that you mentioned, where it's just like it was this perfect subtlety of like emotions and going in so open and vulnerable emotionally, and then ending it very closed off, and then the last part with her and Jon, and the way that like she goes in there just trying to be loving and just trying to be there for him because he seems down, and then the way that scene just like completely gets flipped on the head, and her whole reality, like, because the scene earlier too where she says, I've wanted one thing since I was born, to take back the Seven Kingdoms and to get my rightful throne back, and that really is who she is. And now Jon has just put this giant monkey wrench in there, and she has to like be angry at the man she loves.
Oh yeah. After she just got done telling I think that she had the hardest job. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Oh, and they did another short joke about Kit Harington, like
a little subtle callback. But I think she had the hardest job, and I think those two scenes worked really well because of her.
Well, Casey, the Emmy. Well, actually, it goes to Gwendolyn Christie as Brienne of Tarth in this episode.
It is named after her. Apparently,
she lit it up for me, man. That's who my choice is.
My runner-up would be Tormund, just for that scene where he drinks the milk and it goes down his chest for like 20 minutes, it felt like. Oh my god, they must be fucking laughing. I can't wait to see the bloopers,
because that's got to be on that reel. All right. What was your line or exchange of the show?
Well, technically Gillian, that little girl, but while Davos is there, her saying like to protect us in the crypt, and giving that girl like a way to feel good about her courageousness.
Gotcha. Yeah. Mine's Ed walking up to the ramparts and saying, and now our watch begins to kind of announce.
And him saying that they're totally fucked if like Sam's like they're like open to like fight and shit.
Yeah. I'm gonna move on to memes now. So there haven't been too many memes just yet, but there was one that I saw that was like Arya asking Gendry how many women he slept with, and then it's like the Jordan Peele like just sweating crazily, like the one with all the water drips. Just like Gendry, just like I saw that one, and then I saw one that was just like, finally Game of Thrones gives us the sex scene we've been demanding for years, and it's just Jaime knighting Brienne.
That's awesome
in 4 parts. Like, it's incredible.
They showed us just that the battle's coming, and they gave us one visual that I didn't see before, besides obviously the Brienne one, where it's like the Hound and Beric, it looked like we're fighting inside of a hall. So it wasn't just Arya running inside the hall, it was those two inside the hall. So I want to know how the fuck they get inside the hall, and I also I'm curious about Theon and the Ironborn like protecting Bran. That theory is really weird, because we didn't talk too much about that. That was the dragons would be killing so many whites, but you wouldn't want to draw the Night King's dragon into Winterfell, because then it's all over. Like, everyone's gonna die. But I think it's really interesting because you also see a shot of like them, Jon and Daenerys standing on like almost like a hill, and the fire and the castle's really far away. So it almost looks like where like Brienne was like watching for Sansa's candle. And I think that's what they meant about like they're going to keep the dragons close enough to swoop in as soon as the Night King's there to defend Bran. But if they just like are circling the castle fucking up whites, he won't come. And it seems like they're putting all their chips on the Night King, on killing the Night King. And we don't even know how it's going to work. And I think them bringing up doesn't, like when Arya says, does Dragonfire kill the Night King? And Bran goes, I don't know. I think that's a pretty clear like thing saying that it's not gonna fucking work. You know what I mean? Like that makes me feel like that plan the first plan is never gonna work. So I think it's interesting. They're taking out their 2 biggest ace in the hole cards off the table. It is really weird. Like, they're laying this weird trap, and last time Jon tried to set a trap, he ended up falling into one, aka the Rickon trap. So I don't know that it's going to be much more successful this time, but God, I hope so, because a lot of people are going to die. I think I'm with you though. Like, Grey Worm definitely off the table. The only other person I think might have a really just end would be Theon defending Bran.
Yeah, he's gonna die defending Bran.
Maybe
it's a lock.
We'll
the
see.
Stone Cold lock of the century. Or he's gonna end up with freaking.
Look, I get that Sansa's had some bad sexual experiences, but we don't want her to get some pod dick. We don't want her to get like no dick forever, like just because she had a bad experience.
Like, so after the sex scene with Gendry and Arya, do you think Gendry's more likely to live or less?
Only because he's the last Baratheon.
Because now there's,
and that's like, and okay. I thought they might shy away from that fact, but the fact that they brought it up makes it more important. He's the last Baratheon. We need some remnants of each house left over. I don't think any house will be completely wiped out after they already did that to the Tyrells.
Oh,
so I know you like the Lannisters being wiped out.
Yeah, I think the Lannisters are going to be wiped out. But I forgot to tell you this. So I think I got not mild spoilers, but like the HBO Twitter tweeted out like things to do when you turn 18, or things that you've done by the time you turned 18. And then they had all of like Arya's accomplishments of like have a kill list, go to Bravos, like, or go like, like they tried to do it like it was like a school bucket list of like, oh, do a summer abroad, but like it was like, that's do fun. A Bravos abroad kind of like, it was like this like joke post, but they like established earlier today that she's 18. So everyone was just,
and unfortunately
like,
this episode also leaked online. So if you were just, being an innocent person who loves Game of Thrones things all over Twitter, you might have gotten spoiled a few facts.
What got spoiled for you?
That
I know you
said something got spoiled. Lost her virginity. But like, I was cool with it because I was like, hey, it makes sense. It's their last night on, and then like, so I started thinking in my head like, oh, it's gonna be like, this might be my last night on the Earth. Like, fuck me, like it's my last night on the Earth or whatever. Like, sort of a Tyrion sort of tie-in, and it kind of worked out the same way that I thought it would. And obviously, I've been everyone's been shipping them and her and Gendry since season 2. So, yeah.
Day one. Yeah. All right, well, that brings us to the end of this episode of On the Case Game of Thrones. As always, we're brought to you by Altered Reality Entertainment. They are the creators of Epic Comic Con happening this June in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Go check it out, epiccomiccon.com. Going to be tons of fun. Casey, anything else for the people out there?
Cherish your loved ones while they're still around, because this next episode is going to be a real showstopper, and it's also going to be probably the biggest drop in cast since the Red Wedding.
Yeah, I'd imagine. All right, well, thank you for listening, guys. Valador Harris. We'll see you next week.